Alright, let's talk about understanding slope. So what you have to know about slope is the change in y over your change in x. And that's what that little triangle means. It means change. So first we need to find a set of points on this line. So I got a point right there and then another one right here. So first we're going to do our change in y. So that's how far we go up or down. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 units up. And up means positive. So we've got a positive 3. And then we got to look at our change in x. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. And 4 is positive. So our slope of that line is 3/4. Alright, so let's do a couple more. So again, it's always going to be our change in y over our change in x. So let's find some points on this line. I got a point right here and another one right here. And so let's look what's happening to get from one point to the next. So if I start on the left, I'm going to go down 1, 2, and down is negative, so I got a negative 2, and then I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a positive. So I got negative 2 over 4, which can be reduced to negative 1 over 2. So our slope of that line would be negative 1/2. And anytime you're looking at slope, if your line is going down from left to right, it's going to be negative. If it's going up from left to right, it's going to be positive. So that's just kind of a way you can check yourself, make sure you're got the positive or negative correct. And let's look at two more special ones. So I got that black line, so we'll start with that. So just pick any 2 points there, doesn't really matter. I got 2 points there. So I have no change in y, but my change in x from one point to the next would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, it really doesn't matter. So 0 over 4 would just be 0. So my slope there is 0. That's like saying I have 0 cookies and I got 4 people. How many cookies is each person getting? They're all getting 0. Alright, so the next one we have is that blue one. So pick 2 points on there. So again, it's always going to be change in y over your change in x. So my change in y there, 1, 2, 3, over, I didn't change my x, so it's 0. That's like saying I have 3 cookies and no people. Well, if I have 3 cookies, I'm a person, so that can't happen. So anytime you have a vertical line, your slope is undefined. Alright, so let's look at a couple that we don't have on a graph. So we're just given the points, or the table. So again, it's always going to be your change in y over your change in x. So we're going to start with our changes in y. So to get from negative 3 to 0, we're going to add 3. To get from 0 to 3, we're going to add 3. So our change in y is plus 3. And then our change in x, 0 to 1 is plus 1. 1 to 2 is plus 1. So that'd be 3 over 1, which equals just 3. So looking at our next one, our blue one, so to get from 8 to 3 is minus 5. To get from 3 to negative 2 is minus 5. To get from negative 1 to 0 is plus 1. To get from 0 to 1 is plus 1. So I got my change in y over my change in x, which equals negative 5 over 1, which equals just negative 5. So if you don't have it on a graph, just find what your changes are and then make your ratio. Alright, so let's look at one where we don't have the numbers in consecutive order. So it's always going to be the same. Change in y over your change in x. So let's find our changes here. So get from negative 10 to 8, positive 8 would be 18. And then get from 8 to a positive 35, that's going to be 27. Do the same thing for my x's. To get from negative 5 to 1 would be a positive 6. And to get from 1 to 10 would be plus 9. So now we can make our ratios. I'm going to make two here, one for each. So I have 18 over 6 and 27 over 9. I can reduce both of those, so 18 over 6, I can divide both those by 6 to equal 3 over 1. And then 27 and 9, I can divide both those by 9 to get 3 over 1. So I got the same ratio, which means I form the table that forms a line. So I have a slope of 3. So anytime you don't have them, always just do your change in y over your change in x. But you need to test a couple of them, make sure you have the same ratio. If you don't have the same ratio, then you don't have a line, so you don't have an exact slope, which you'll get into later in math. But for right now, just don't worry about it. You'll get to that when you get further along in math.